Ah, hello. Hello. So, this is working, right? It's actually, it's actually streaming, right? Okay, so this is what happened. When I woke up today, I woke up feeling very bad. I had, I don't know if I can call it a nightmare since it wasn't a. Oh, hey, Kikoro. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it. I've never, when we talk to each other, I didn't call you by name. So, what happened last night? Okay, I had a wonderful dream. No, it wasn't a wonderful dream. I had a nightmare that I had a nightmare that I was streaming on YouTube because yesterday night I was streaming on YouTube. Hi, Rat Goblin. Hey, hey, Rat Goblin. You know who's also cute? You know who's also cute? You're also cute. Okay. What was I saying? I am talking, right? Oh, okay, my mic is on. Great. Anyway, so I was streaming on YouTube yesterday and it was so painful, guys. Like, it's so lonely. You know, Anarchy Rat Goblin is also cute. Oh, we don't have any music on. You know what? Screw it. No music today. So what was... So what happened last night is I streamed on YouTube and it was so depressing, okay? It was so depressing. It's not depressing because like I didn't have a lot of people there with me because I'm used to that, you know. I'm on Twitch. Sometimes you stream to 0 viewers. It's natural. But it was so there were people in chat, but it was so delayed. Like it didn't matter how many people were talking to me in chat. It didn't matter how many people there. It just felt like I was just playing a game. Um but I did it anyways. So oh well. I streamed on YouTube. Great. So I had a nightmare last night. And I was still streaming on YouTube. And it was so painful. So when I woke up, I had a huge headache. So I went back to sleep, woke up like 2 hours later, and I still woke up with a headache. But this time I couldn't sleep. I didn't go back to sleep. So yeah, so I spent the entire day thinking, oh, you know, this headache will go away eventually. So at around like noontime, around like 4 o'clock, I tried to take a nap. By the way, the nap didn't happen because I drank too much caffeine prior to try to fix the headache. So it didn't work. And then just recently, I got the headache to go bye-bye. Because I was drinking some nice yummy liquids. And then all of a sudden, I opened my okay, just for like, you know, I'm a responsible person. I always keep my Steam open, so if there's an update, it updates immediately. I I know what I'm doing. So I have my Steam is supposedly updated. You know, all my games are updated. The game's updated. But when I was trying to open the game right just a while ago, like it had an update, and the update will take like 2 hours to finish, and I didn't have 2 hours. So this is why we're here. This is why we're not playing Bloodstained. Maybe we might play it if it finishes updating. I'm currently updating it as we speak, which is not a very good thing to do because we're streaming. Oh, what, Kikoro? What did I call you back then? I didn't call you anything. I've mastered the art of of not calling people by their names because I keep forgetting names. It takes some time for me to remember how to call people by name. So what I do is that I wait around. I wait around for people to keep calling their name until I memorize it, and then I start calling you by name. But most of the time, I just don't. It's like magic. But no, I mean no disrespect. It's just the way things are. I sometimes even forget the names of the people I am close to. It's sad. I'm just not good with proper nouns. So yeah, that's what happened. My chat. That's why today we're not gonna be playing a video game. That's why today we aren't just chatting. We're gonna watch some stuff. Some stuff fun. There's only 2 videos I wanna watch. So before while waiting for this thing to update, I was watching this one video on this one dude. So let's go watch it, and then I guess I'll react to it. I don't know. I just want to chill. I just came back from a headache. Okay? 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 Okay. I'm gonna go do the thing now. Make sure, just tell me if the audio is not the best, okay? Okay. Yeah, just tell me the audio is struggling, okay? Because I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. Not me, not I wouldn't know. Let's go. Let's watch. Is it happening? Is it happening? It is. It's happening.
Unofficial fan content went online, including shirts. One of them was the
Oh dear.
"Hello, I'm."
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear.
From Draconia written on it.
I'm on speaker. Oh no. What a new move using speakers. People nowadays only wear headphones. Oh, so this is a video with regards to, the critical role that one dude named Tiberius who was like horrible. So yeah, let's go watch it, I guess. Let's start from the very beginning. A very good place to start.
We need to talk about Tiberius.
There we go.
Video about how to start with Critical Role, but I made some references to one of the players at the beginning of Campaign 1 who did not stay with the cast, Orion Akaba, and his character Tiberius, a dragonborn sorcerer. I didn't get into it.
Is the audio okay?
He did not stay with the cast long because he was kind of a problem player. This is sort of an appendix to that video. You don't need this, but if you're curious, or if you want my perspective on it, or if you think it may be valuable, we're going to talk a little bit more about Tiberius.
Thank you, Haru.
From the land of
oh, hi, Kondu!
Happily tell you himself. His catchphrase became, "Hello, I'm Tiberius Stormwind from Draconia." Tiberius is often played as
because I've died a million times by now, Haru. That's why there's a death counter.
To what's going on. He's a bit full of himself, sort of pompous, and not necessarily able to back that up with his own awareness of the world. But he is obviously very intelligent. He's a studied, learned man. And he is powerful in combat thanks to his magic. If this is all that Tiberius had been...
Oh, sorry, I just stabbed the thing.
Fantastic part of the show. But that's not the case. Because of the player Orion Akaba, Orion, for reasons we'll get into, had some issues that presented themselves throughout the course of the show. He's only with the show for the first 27 episodes, but we're going to talk a little bit about some of the traits that presented themselves. First of all, he had some similar problems to Tiberius in that he was not necessarily good at communicating what was on his mind, but simply proceeded as if everyone was on the same page as him. This is not uncommon in D&D, and we're going to do other videos about this, but this is something that happened, and it frustrated the cast, including Tiberius, including Orion Akaba. Like, it's frustrating to realize you're not on the same page as other people, so that's... no one was happy in that situation. Second, I think he suffered the most mechanically from the transition from Pathfinder.
Oh.
Now, you don't need to know the details of these games. We'll deal with those another day. But Pathfinder is a game that's a lot like D&D, especially
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
like D&D that Matt Mercer grew up with.
Has anyone here played Pathfinder before?
Now, transitioning to 5th edition for a streamed show made a lot of sense because it was the most popular edition at the time because it was a huge success. It also helped from a branding perspective, and I think it was a better representation of their playstyle as it was for so many people. But this also meant that some of the rules changed around some of the character classes. The ones who suffered the most, I believe, are probably Vex and Tiberius. Scanlan got much more powerful. Keyleth got differently powerful. Her wild shapes got much more powerful. Everyone else stayed functionally very similar. Well, Percy had to be rebuilt completely because there were no gunslinger rules in D&D, but they had a lot more control over that. They could put their own hand on the lever that way. So there are multiple times during those Tiberius episodes where Orion expresses frustration at how a spell used to work or a spell he used to have access to.
Oh man, I get that feeling because like in Dungeons and Dragons, you know, sometimes they update stuff, and when they update things, it's just horrible sometimes, you know? It's hard to get used to the new stuff.
We can appreciate why he felt that way, but I think that he just didn't verbalize it very well, or rather, he verbalized it a little bit too much. I think that this also speaks to a larger issue, and one that is, again, not uncommon, but was certainly uncommon at that table, and was, I think, ultimately not at place in Critical Role, which was that he felt the need to win. He felt the need to be the most successful, or to do the most cool stuff, to kind of go Nova in every combat that he could,
I know players like that.
As he could. And this not only put him at odds with the mechanics, as he would run out of all of his cool stuff faster and need long rests more often, but it also put him at odds with the other cast members and with Matt, because he had this mentality of how to win the games, of how to win the fights, and sort of took it on himself personally to handle a lot of these things himself. Some of these can be explained by, again, what we discussed earlier about him not being on the same page as other people. Others speak to a sort of attitude problem, but some of them are also summed up by something that he sort of realized after the big combat in episode 11 with the first big boss of the show. He did not realize or did not internalize that the DM was not trying to kill them. The monsters are trying to kill them. But Matt was not their enemy in combat. Now, this should be obvious, but I will say this is a very common mindset in D&D. A lot of D&D players have this feeling. This comes from a lot of places. It can come from the legacy of the game, because there are definitely a history of adversarial DMs. While I don't believe Orion had played a lot of D&D before, that culture is still present. That culture can still happen anywhere. Even if you didn't grow up playing D&D or watch a lot of it, that's still something you can struggle with. Secondly, Matt is
some people call it the video game mindset, you know? Like if you play a lot of video games, you sometimes you think that this role-playing game probably is like approximately similar-ish.
Misinterpret what's going on, which is, I think, sometimes what he did, what Tiberius did, what Orion did. He interpreted situations as adversarial when they did not need to be and should not have been. And I think there is an element of video game influence as well, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in future videos. As someone who didn't grow up playing video games, I think that it's easy for me to see certain behavior as problematic, but I think it would be perfectly valid in a video game. If you are playing video games, your goal is
video
games.
Playing
against a machine, a system that wants to kill you. In D&D, that system is your dungeon master, but your dungeon master is also a lot of things. And I will say, video games don't usually actually want you to lose, so that doesn't really excuse your mindset.
Sorry, I was licking my
There was another aspect
my cut
where Orion presented himself as a problematic individual, and this one, controversially, I'm going to say that he was right in spirit and simply wrong in practice. As I mentioned, he had a bit of a catchphrase. Hello, I'm Tiberius Stormwind from Draconia. As the show became popular early on, a lot of bootleg or unofficial fan content went online, including shirts. One of them was the Hello, I'm sticker with Tiberius Stormwind from Draconia written on it. You know, the same way you might get Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die. It's a very silly shirt, but also both of those examples, the Inigo Montoya one and the Tiberius one, would kind of be illegal. Like, you're not allowed to do that. And
Yeah,
Orion
one
said as much. He
day,
said it was kind
one
of
DM I played
not
with sadly
okay
sees
for
himself as
Christmas
kind of an
posting
antagonist.
a shirt
Yeah, it's
about
so
his character
frustrating.
without his permission, without his go-ahead. Should he have done that? I don't know. I personally
Well,
don't think
the
it's a
sad
public
thing about
forum would
that
be the
is
best
that,
place
like,
to
you
voice your
know,
opinion.
I
And I
feel
think that
like as
there's
a
another
DM, you need
aspect
to
consider with
understand
Orion
that
he had under
there's
the
no
show
way
on
for you
Geek
to really lose
the only
unless you have
captain he had a
you
show where he played
think
video
hard
games, and I
about
think
it.
he could pretty clearly see that Critical Role was a sensation that nothing else on the Geek and Sundry network came even close to. Early on, the cast of Critical Role announced that they had some shirts for sale on their website, and by the time they are finished announcing it, because remember, this is a live show, they discover that all the shirts have sold out. And they mentioned, oh my gosh, we printed 100, we thought that would be enough. And Orion is the only one who said, I have no idea why you guys thought 100 shirts would be enough. Don't worry, everyone, there will be more shirts. Because he was the only one, I think, who understood, as early as he did, the success of the show. However, this is, I think, also where the mentality shifts a bit. I mean, I don't know for sure, I don't know the man, but I think the fame went to his head. And additionally, as someone who's having his character broadcast to fans and has fans of his own now, well, now being 2015, but you know, that was the mindset that he would have been in, I think it infected his character. He started to go Nova more often because I think he wanted the kills, because it felt good not only to get a kill in D&D, and perhaps that was the only way he could do it because some of his older powers had gone away in the transition from editions, but also because I think he got a little bit of a high from the enjoyment of the fans. There was a choice of phrase
I
there
get
that I used
that.
that I think was unfortunate, but we'll come back to that in a second. You also get to see him starting to experiment, starting to get kind of brazen, starting to go on these other missions and side quests to like come up with cool inventions and things. And I wonder if that's because Percy was doing inventing and he felt left out, or because he had these ideas of things to execute
Oh, I know
and no
people like
spells to
that.
represent them, so
Yeah.
he wanted to come up with other ideas. He thought, oh, I can do a lot of damage with a cool bladed weapon if I use telekinesis on it, so I'll commission a cool bladed weapon. And goes on this very long, rambling objective to do that, and is way more excited about it than anyone else is. This can happen in D&D games, but it happens with Tiberius a lot. And while every once in a while it's genuinely funny, like the time that he tries to get access to a teleportation circle and kind of ends up going through like a Spectrum-style tree of talking to your boss's boss and boss's boss and boss's boss, of like going to upper management, and that scene is funny, but oftentimes it didn't land that way. It was just him going on these long, rambling missions of trying to perform some sort of objective, and he wouldn't necessarily tell the cast or even Matt what he was trying to build or create, and that frustrates everyone. You know, Matt is frustrated
Yeah.
that he can't help this player.
That'll be
represent what he's
hard
trying to
as a
do
DM to
because he
try
doesn't
to like
really understand it,
grasp,
and they're not on the same page
try
about
to
what's
grasp
going
what
to be
the
involved.
players want to
Orion's
do.
frustrated he can't just
That's why
do
what
he says
Mr.
he's trying to
Meowdy
do
does is that
because
when
there's these
there's
pet
a
peeve
player
rules
who
of the game
obviously
that he
wants something
plays with. He
specific,
feels like he shouldn't be
and
able
they're
to do it
going
because
through the
he asks
motions
more
of just
in-character
telling what they're
advice
gonna
than him.
do.
The cast
What he
isn't doing
says
it.
is,
They're just
what do you
waiting
want?
for him
He
to finish
asks
this
them, what do you want to
side quest,
happen?
this mission, while they're just waiting and watching and being bored. And the viewers,
Yeah.
kind of polarized, I suppose. He had his fans. He had people who were on his side and were enjoying what he did, but others who were, yeah, they're just a little bored, a little annoyed as well. And there is a point where the character begins to do things that are kind of brazen and kind of inappropriate. He brutally murders someone in the middle of a fight, which I don't necessarily think he was wrong to do. I mean, they were in a fight, but that person was like retreating or asleep. I don't remember the exact details. It was also an old woman. And when
Both.
Matt is trying to
Oh, no.
represent other people in the world being like upset by this, because he's trying to portray the fact that this is a living, breathing world and their consequences.
Oh, by the way, if you like this video, I probably should give you guys the link to the actual thing, right?
This is something that can happen at your home games. This is something that has happened at many people's home games in various forms. Maybe not murdering an old woman, but some version of representing friction between, I did a cool thing in game, why are people mad at me? And the DM saying, people are mad at you or frustrated by you because this is a living, breathing world. And these things matter. That's kind of an oversimplification, but without getting into the nitty-gritty of the scene, that's kind of what was happening. Tiberius wanted to do cool stuff, and Matt was here often saying, but this is a world
There
with
we go.
rules, both physical rules of the world because we're playing a game, and also laws. And if you try to violate them, there are consequences. And there were some jokes that were not taken well. I don't want to sit here and defend jokes. I don't personally think they were worth defending. Point is, the other people at the table didn't like them. They did not let
That's
these go.
true.
This is episode 27. This is by far one of the worst, probably the worst Tiberius episode, is episode 27. That's why I get very resistant when
What
people
happened
say,
though?
oh, start with episode 24 and just jump from there. I don't know about that. Maybe watch episode 24 and 25 and maybe 26 and then just skip episode 27. I don't know. It's rough. Now, additionally, this is in the era where crosstalk was a lot more common and eating at the table was a lot more common, but even once that had sort of been phased out, he was still doing it the most and the most often and the most noticeably. Now, maybe he was just eating at the table because he was busy, because he was coming off of other jobs. They were all still working voice actors. They would come in late sometimes. It did happen. Maybe he was on time, but he had missed dinner, and so he was eating at the table. I don't know. I can't speak to why. I just know that it happened a lot. He eventually researched
Pardon, that was a big slurp.
Tiberius and like his family of other Draconians, but it was very much designed to continue his brand and his franchise. Now that's fine. That's ultimately up to him, whatever he wants to do. And if he felt that the group was not able to share focus in a way that he felt was right for his character, that is ultimately up to him. It is ultimately his decision to leave the show and try to pursue those in other ways. But that's another reason why I say that perhaps the fame went to his head. Now, there are some personal things that were going on with Orion that we need to address. One was that he was struggling with cancer at the time. I believe, I don't know the specific type, but I suspect that was part of the reason why he was on the eating schedule he was. Should he have figured out a workaround? Should they have changed the time? I don't know. That is a larger conversation. That is a factor, potentially. Additionally, about, I would say, maybe a year after he left the show, maybe a little less, he put out a video where he talked a little bit about his behavior, both on screen and off. Now, he has no longer made that video available, so I won't get into all of it. It's ultimately his decision if that information is out there, but I will say that he was struggling with illnesses and with addiction. Regardless of what was going on in his own life, regardless of who he was and how he presented himself, that is unfortunate, and that's a bummer, and that sucks. I wish that that had not been happening to him for any number of reasons. I wish that he had not been sick, and I wish he had not been dealing with substances.
You know, I actually haven't watched the beginning of Critical Role. I watched the first episode, and like, you know how I don't really like dwarves, because they terrify me. There were lots of dwarves in the first episode, and they sort of
crossing of lines.
it made me really scared, so I didn't continue. I didn't continue the first episode of Critical Role. I didn't continue the beginning of Critical Role.
Friction with Critical Role. I just know that those are things about him that have been addressed in the past. Hello, it's Editing Mike. I filmed this video, and then I realized there was some more stuff that I left out that I think was actually pretty important. You know, it's funny, I think about Critical Role a lot, but I haven't gone back and watched a lot of the Tiberius episodes for, I think, somewhat obvious reasons. So there were some things that occurred to me after I filmed, like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's right, there was this as well. So I just wanted to cut myself back in, record some additional content, and give a little bit more clarity and context on some of Orion's behavior during the Tiberius period of the show. One thing that I didn't talk about that I really am surprised that I didn't is that Orion metagamed a lot. He would often talk about things
That's
in
actual
terms
worse.
more than he did in character terms. And he would somewhat factor in information that Orion wouldn't necessarily have access to. Now, everyone has their own threshold for what is and is not appropriate metagaming at their table. There's always going to be some amount of metagaming, and some amount of metagaming can be good. That's a conversation for another day, and that's a much larger, deeper conversation. But there are some things that we kind of take for granted as metagaming, like your character understands that if they go into the dungeon, they will be rewarded, and that they will find an adventure that they are probably roughly equivalent, appropriate level for. That's metagaming, but that's also like how the game works. They understand kind of the way the world works on some level. But when you take that a step further is when you are trying to insert yourself into situations that you wouldn't have any reason to go to, except the fact that you as a player, Orion, know, oh, Tiberius could be really helpful here. That kind of thing happened a fair amount. I'm going to do a lot of videos about Critical Role, and I will have more.
Oh, that one. You mean the one where, like, you're in another room, but you try your best to get there?
We can learn from as dungeon masters.
I think those are fine as long as you're not a dick about it, as long as you're not stealing the spotlight from somebody else, you know?
But one thing that is often talked about with Orion is his metagaming. Another thing, and I think this is actually worse, is how disrespectful
Hi there, Mr. Meowdy. We're just watching this video.
Other players. I talked about
it's okay to be late.
He sort of assumed his plan was the de facto plan unless somebody said otherwise. He sort of assumed he could just do
it. Yes, how the character would behave as opposed to how you'd behave.
What are you doing, and why are you doing it? And then he'd be forced to explain it. And he always seemed a little bit frustrated that he had to explain his mentality, which seems ironic.
But you have to.
For a character like that and for a player like that, you kind of get some enjoyment out of presenting your plan and how intelligent it is. But
you have
I think he more wanted to have the reveal moments. I've played with a lot of players like this. This is not.
Oh no, that's dangerous though.
Problem. It's not even always a problem. It's just a certain fantasy that you're trying to fulfill.
You could explain it to the DM. You don't need to hide it from the DM. Explain it to the DM. It's really important to explain what your plan is to the DM, or else it might not work.
That's more cinematic, is to be like, aha, at the end, look at what I did.
Yeah.
But for a game like Dungeons and Dragons, that tends to lead to more friction with other players. So that's kind of what happened with Orion. But there is another example.
If he can do the aha moment, if he can talk to Matt, just talk to the DM, you know?
These are things that you just don't think about as much when you're in the middle of recording, but afterwards you realize you left out some pretty big moments, which is that Scanlan, had an item that Orion felt that Tiberius would be able to use better. Doesn't matter whether he was correct. He could make a compelling argument for it, and that's what was going on in his head. He saw this item that Scanlan was not using and felt, well, I should use that because
Bro, if it's not on you, you don't.
He asked Scanlan to trade the item with him. I believe he asked 3
Yeah, we're watching YouTube about Tiberius today, Mr. Imp.
Orion asked Scanlan, as played by Matt, if he could switch items with him. That's incredibly rude and disrespectful. Now, this is something that I think Critical Role struggled with a lot during Campaign 1, which is
a pearl of power. Why does he want that?
Other party members, when they were played by Matt,
it's a sword.
Still the same character. Even though they're fully aware, Matt has to do some legwork. Matt has to do some work to justify certain behavior that wouldn't necessarily be the same case if the player was present. For example, there are many times when the party asked Pike to come along with them, and Matt is saying no. No, Pike can't come with you. Sometimes it's kind of joking, and sometimes it's kind of serious. This is the first time that I can think of where it was a real problem, and it was an Orion example. It's not the last time the party does it, it is just one of the most egregious in my mind. Because unlike saying, oh, Pike, come along on this adventure.
Bro, really? What did he do to Laura?
Take a magic item from someone else's character sheet. That's rude. Sam had
How's it going to you, Ranger?
Thank you for the bits.
Mr. Meowdy cheered. X100 sending you love and light.
Yes, actually, that's exactly what happened, because that's what happened when he ended up getting the item. Eventually, he did trade with Sam, and it led to a scene that I think a lot of people think was very funny, which is a scene where Orion writes on a chalkboard the number of times that Scanlan's used the item versus the number of times that Orion has done something, or Tiberius has done something where the item would have helped. And a lot of people thought the scene was really funny, and I did too at the time. I don't think it's funny anymore. And I think the problem is that I don't see Tiberius or Orion as really being in on the joke. I think he's just kind of talking down to Sam/Scanlan.
So mean.
Maybe that's just because now we think less of Orion than we did at the time. This is halfway through the run as Tiberius, and the more
that's rude.
Stuff was
that's rude.
Although I'd argue trying to trade with a player when they're not.
It doesn't feel like. It feels a bit out of character. Also, I've watched Orion a little bit, and it doesn't seem like. Doesn't seem.
It, and I just don't think it's that funny anymore. I don't know, personal preference, I guess. Another thing that I really did not talk about.
Yeah, Meowdy do be trying to murder me.
Where he was kind of romancing Allura, the wizard that the party knew, and this was reciprocal. There was some definite interest expressed from Allura, but also their first adventure, they go and they rescue Lady Kima from the dungeons in the Underdark, and they bring her back to Allura, and there is a definite implication that the two of them have at least a romantic history or romantic interest in each other. And Orion got really butthurt about this. Like, he felt like he had, I guess I lost my chance. And he, like,
Thanks for the headbat, Noedex.
Really, Matthew? I'm not going to show the clip, but it's weird and gross because there is a level of entitlement present there. There's a feeling that there is a expectation that he was going to get the girl. And Matt says, what? They're friends. But Orion is still annoyed because, I guess the girl I like is gay. Now, while I think that behavior was a form of homophobia, I'm not here saying that Orion was homophobic. But what he was feeling very entitled to a romantic subplot. And the moment that he felt like it wasn't going to happen, he got very pissy about it. That is some gross dude bro entitlement right there.
Dude, that's horrible.
Matt had renewed interest from Allura in Tiberius, so they continued their storyline for a few episodes until Orion eventually left the show. But that always bothered me, the way that he reacted to that. Like, Allura could just be interested in both of you, and that could be like some interesting drama to play out. No, you feel like you're owed a romance? Okay. Cool. Now, these are things that people generally discuss when we look back at the Tiberius era and his problems.
What?
Metagaming, the gross behavior, the
like, that's the biggest oof I've ever heard. Like, all the other things, like, understandable, but that one part.
A few episodes before he left the show, Orion was gifted a vest, like a long draping vest. It was deliberately the same style as what Tiberius wears in his character art. And for the final 2 episodes he's on the show, Orion just wears this to set. Now, I understand where that's coming from, and in theory, that's no different than him wearing a leather bracer for an episode because he got it from a fan. Or having a dagger at his desk because he was given it by a fan. Same with Travis. Same with Taliesin having a fake gun.
Thank you for the sub.
Loedex just subscribed.
Thanks for the gifted sub.
Gifted a tier 1 sub to Loedex. They have given 82 gift subs in the channel.
He just wore this same article of clothing.
Whoa there, are you okay? My friend, I don't have that many followers for you to gift things
how else
to.
do I describe it other than he was starting to get a little drunk on the Kool-Aid? But a few episodes before that, he had another example of very similar behavior. A fan gifted him a wrist-mounted flamethrower, and he wore it on set 2 weeks in a row.
Is that a legitimate
thing full of lighter fluid with an ignition?
It's a legitimate.
I understand that based on some of the other things that we know about
that's dangerous.
after the fact that he has
a literal,
an addictive
I
understand that.
actual.
I do to a certain degree. I love having totems that represent the characters, and I get very attached to them. I understand where a lot of this came from, but
that's so scary considering how adversarial he was.
A boundary problem, and in this case, I think he was doing things that were pretty unprofessional. Tiberius, you do not need Orion. I genuinely did that on accident. Orion, you do not need to wear the clothes of your character twice in a row. You definitely do not need to have a flamethrower on your wrist. Especially since so often during combat, Matt is trying to impart upon you the dangers of using fireballs near your friends. Like, it is a lesson that he had to learn a couple of times, is that fire, the default solution that Tiberius often used, was not the right answer for everything. And yet, after he'd already had this encounter a couple of times with Matt, after
a literal flamethrower,
and had to be reminded that if he passed it too close to his friends, he would hurt them. The player, had a literal fireball creator on his wrist. Like, a fan thought it was a good idea to give it to him, and he thought it was a good idea to wear it to set 2 weeks in a row. It's baffling to me that is not part of the conversation more often.
That should be.
He forgot that he did that, but he did that. I also wanted to say a little bit more about the t-shirt. You'll recall that I mentioned Tiberius had a catchphrase, that this catchphrase was put onto a t-shirt by a fan, and that Orion expressed some frustration and basically pointed out that was a copyright breach. But
Yeah.
I'd forgotten was that Travis intervened.
You did
Travis
mention about
pointed
the
out
Pearl
to the
of
fans,
Power
no, don't
scene,
worry
and
about
there's a
this.
highlight
We were
video
all
about the
big
scene
fans
on
of your
YouTube.
shirt. And that
Really?
happened
Do you have
in
a video
between
for me? I want to
Ryan's
see
final
it.
episode and the first one without him. That was in that week. So I'd forgotten
Send
that
it
was
in
a big
chat.
part of the
I'll play
speculation
it.
was that, you know, Travis, as the person who would eventually become the CEO of Critical Role and probably had a similar role within the group at that point, or perhaps rose to that occasion in this event, had to intervene and had to point out that this behavior was not appropriate. I think that Travis probably realized that they were a pretty young brand at that point. And
They
to put
were.
yourself out there as someone who wanted to shut down fan content
Hello,
was
Shroud.
not a good look for Travis and potentially for the rest of the Critical
We're
Role
watching
cast.
videos about
What Orion was
D&D.
doing at that moment was harming their relationship with the fans. And again, because that happened after Orion's last appearance on the show and before he left the show, or potentially around the time, that is
Yeah.
often pointed to as a reason why he was asked to leave. If he even was asked, he may have realized at that point, we don't see eye to eye, and it may have been very clear to everyone at that point. We don't really know. We probably never will know. But that was just a little bit more context that I wanted to make sure to add. Now back to regular previous Mike, whose beard is a little bit less shabby. And that's it. That is effectively what happened with Tiberius and with Orion Akaba. Now there are some postscripts to this. Tiberius appears in the first 7 issues of the Critical Role comic. The first 6 were designed as an origin story for the cast that is canonical with their games. The idea is that this is how the group met, and Tiberius, of course, is a part of that. It makes perfect sense. But they did the first 6 issues as a mini-series. And in between those 6 issues and when they went on to do the next batch, a little Kickstarter had happened, and they had gone ahead and greenlit a full cartoon based on the story of Vox Machina, which they were very open in saying that Tiberius would not be a part of. It was even in the Kickstarter FAQ. Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. I mean, whatever the friction had happened, whatever the issues were, he was no longer a part of Critical Role, so it didn't make sense to have him there. That's why in the next issue of the comic that came out, Tiberius very quickly goes, oh, all right, now I'm off to go do other things, goodbye! He sort of becomes this interesting footnote that no longer makes sense to include in the adaptation. The same way you might point out
thanks for
that
the head pat,
the first
Mr.
mission
Mellow
that the group
Games.
went on, the first home game they played, Taliesin did not play Percy. He played a blue dragonborn paladin, I believe. We don't know anything about this character, and everyone who wants to know is sort of met with disappointment because they basically regard that character as a footnote. Again, the thinking at that first game was not that this was a campaign, it was a one-shot. As soon as it transitioned into a campaign, as soon as this became an ongoing story, Taliesin wanted to play something different. That was not a character he wanted to carry on with indefinitely. So now, whenever that first mission is referenced, either in
I'm
the
not
story of
doing
Vox
well.
Machina
I'm
video or in the
coping.
comic book, when it
Call
makes
me
a brief appearance,
coping.
we don't see that blue dragon.
Hashtag call me
Not
scoping.
relevant. Likewise, so has Tiberius essentially become kind of equivalent to that blue dragonborn. The legacy of what Vox Machina is, the legend of Vox Machina.
Okay. Let's do the half boner thing as well.
The story of Critical Role book that recaps the entire history of how Critical Role became what it is refers to Tiberius as a guest star. Now that was not the case, but that is the new narrative. And I think I understand why. You know, I can't speak to everything that happened behind the scenes, but I don't disagree that a change needed to be made. And while it's easy for us to say, wow, we start really getting to know Percy once the Briarwood arc starts, and I think that's true, I think also we start getting to know Percy a lot better once Tiberius leaves. Once Tiberius is no longer sucking up so much of the air and going for every joke he can,
I hate
suddenly
that.
Percy, you start to realize he's actually really funny, and he has been the entire time.
There's some people who just suck up the air.
His dry humor his wit is a lot more subtle, and it's suddenly able to shine a little bit more.
That's
Anyway,
true.
that's the
I like
Tiberius
it. I like
situation.
his
For those who are
funny. I
curious,
like
for those who
Percy's
want sort of a
funny. Percy's
comprehensive look
funny.
at how it all went
He's
down and what
actually
we
a real
know, there are a
comedian.
lot of
His
people who
life
still
was
sort of
just
wonder what happened
there.
behind the scenes. Was the breakdown
Oh, I was about to say something
You can kind of
mean.
see in that last episode that Travis is pretty fed up with it, and
Yeah.
I suspect he spoke for the group in that moment. But anyway, that is the story of what happened with Tiberius. I'm going to do more videos about Critical Role. I will occasionally mention Tiberius. I might even say nice things about Tiberius.
Oh no,
but
the bonks.
I think
Why are you
ultimately
bonking
Orion was
me?
a problem player.
Why are you
And I think that
bonking me,
sometimes
Meowdy?
The only way to deal with that after you've tried other methods is to really have a heart-to-heart and figure out, are you getting what you want out of this? Because we are not. We are not on the same page as you.
The
What is it
hard-
you're hoping will happen?
The hard
What is
thing
it you're
about
hoping to accomplish? Because I
I'll
don't
talk
think
about
we're
it
on the same
later.
page. And I will say that the cast has a lot of affection
There, so
for
everybody
Tiberius
can
as a
see it.
character, regardless of their feelings about Orion. And while I do think that Tiberius had a significant role in that first campaign, as the subsequent adaptations and the narrative of that story have proven, his role was not critical. Well, that's it. I think after that
Critical role.
YouTube channel. So please, while you can,
for
hit
the
like button and subscribe,
people,
because
what I was trying to say earlier, the hardest thing about Critical Role is that they can't just
publicly, with the exception of Orion, and even he can't really speak publicly about it. And the one statement he did make has since been withdrawn. So, for the respect of those involved, I'm not going to speculate a lot more than I already have on the situation. But this is a complicated subject, and if we want to talk about it a little bit more in the comments, we can, and I look forward to that. Thank you so much for watching. Play fair, and have fun.
Okay, I posted the video in the chat. If anybody wants to, oof, it's automatically playing. Jeez.
Okay. The weather is cold.
How do I stop? How do we get stop?
Like we were discussing earlier, would you be interested in the still standing friendly trade of my ironstone for your circle?
Make it stop. Okay, it stopped. So what I was saying is that, guys, if you like that dude earlier who talked about in length about the thing about Tiberius, kindly please give him a like and subscribe, yeah? Okay, so for the people who weren't here, because we're gonna deep dive into this a little bit, because we got some clips from our buddies to describe how oof this man was. So Critical Role, the live stream D&D show was well, it how could I say that it started off like amazing. It started off with just this like a normal play group, like a bunch of buddies, you know, it's not overproduced, it's just these people and they're playing a normal game of Dungeons and Dragons, you know? And then amongst all those people, there was this dude named Orion. I forgot his last name, and he was playing this dragonborn named Tiberius, and he was so fucking annoying, in the worst possible way, because he's the kind of person that would suck up, yeah, Orion Nakaba. There you go. He would suck up all the air because he's trying to be the main character of the show. Presumably because he felt the brand popping off, you know, and so on and so forth, and he felt like, you know, that there was a player versus DM kind of thing going on, and he always wanted to be the main star of the show, amongst other things. What the guy actually didn't talk about was that Orion Nakaba also scammed his fans. He actually scammed his fans for like was it a fake charity chat? I don't remember. Is it a fake charity? Not to mention, Orion Nakaba fudged his dice rolls, which is understandable if you're a dungeon master and you're like fudging, you know? If you're just fudging a little bit for the safety, for the story, a little bit as a dungeon master. But if you're a player, that's a bit oof, don't you think? So yeah, that's what happened. And then Orion, he fudged dice rolls, and then he was also a creep. Did he really just use the money, all the charity money, for drugs? Oh, that's really oof. Anyway, we're gonna continue on with the show. Some people sent me some nice clips of Orion Nakaba doing shit. So we're gonna go watch them. Let's start with this one. Professor Tiberius, that's what it's called. Show on stream. Is it working? Come on, work. Maybe I need to play it like that. Nope, that didn't work. Maybe I need to like reload the page. Sorry, I'm trying to play the video. Show on stream. There we go.
Sense the weather, I suppose.
Okay.
Oh, I love the animatics.
Good call, Tiberius. Good call.
Scanlan. Aye. Like we were discussing earlier, would you be interested in the still standing friendly trade of my ironstone for your circlet crown
Oh,
thingy?
you know what, Tiberius? I have been giving this a lot of thought and consideration.
Well, he sounds so done.
I don't know. What would you like for lunch?
Oh no,
I already ate.
I was done with the conversation.
Well, Keyleth, if you could put
Oh,
a
man.
slate up for me, I'd like to illustrate something. You see, Scanlan, you've had this particular piece for over 10, let's say, weeks. You have used it.
Charity and drugs. Wait the time to stream. Hello. Hi, Fuji.
Battles over the 10 course, using it 0 times. I, being a sorcerer, have a special ability called Sorcerer Points.
I just wanna, since you're here, I just want to like, what's it called? I just want to tell you, because we're talking about this dude in Critical Role who was like horrible. Like, they had to kick him out of the game. He was doing drugs and stealing from his charity, amongst other things. Yeah. I'm glad you could stop by. I'll play it. I'll play the thing.
Well, I can do most of those spells in a single round.
Yes.
Which none of you can do.
That's true. Brag about it, Tiberius. Just keep bragging about it.
When I can do multiple spells, like 2 versus you, which can do 1, that means I can do 1 more spell than you can per round in every round after that. 100%.
This is amazing.
Your utilization of the actual item has been equivalent to
Uh,
nothing.
that's so
In the
mean.
interest of the group and the use of items in general, it would be wise to switch it because you have needed to extra spells like invisibility
The shell wall cracks.
several times,
I'm sorry.
where my item would be more useful in general. So, Scanlan, what say you?
Your
Let's say you.
skills have been quite impressive.
I don't like to show them off.
No. I will gladly make this trade with you. You have convinced me.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. I'm man enough to admit that he's convinced me.
Well,
That was so good.
I'll be honest with you. This.
As Vex is saying
Oh
this,
wait. Pause. Pause. Pause, please.
you can't
Hide
see it 'cause
video.
It's inside.
Yes, but you said it out loud.
Pause.
Anyway,
I'm just saying, strategy.
fair enough.
Strategy.
Oh, a strategy check.
Strategy check.
Okay. I just wanted to talk before we play the next video, but oh well. Yeah, Kickstarters are risky. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. So if you like the animatic from before, why don't you send some love, like, comment, and subscribe to this person? I'll just type some stuff. If you like the animatic from before, those take a lot of love and effort and time and passion to do. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hi, Helix, to this person. I'm glad you could make it. We're just watching some clips while my game updates. You know what's so rotten? It's so fucking rotten. Like, I'm streaming to you using a bunch of Chrome tabs and also updating a game on Steam, and my stream's doing fine on Twitch. But if I were to be doing this on YouTube, boy oh boy, will my YouTube not happen, my stream not happen. Anyway, I love you, Helix. You're good friend. I can't wait for our next stream, our next wrestling stream. Can it be like this weekend? Me and Meowdy are doing some stuff in the real world. We have embezzled some tickets to a movie. That's not the right world, but we have acquired some tickets to a movie. I'll stretch. We've acquired some tickets to a movie, you see. So I was what was I saying? I was saying something more. We got tickets to a movie. So we can't do the collab, but we can do it the week after, I think. I think we're all gonna be here the week after. Yeah, the YouTube trauma turns along. It does. I remember. It's so bad. I woke up today with a headache, man. But like, it did work. Streaming on YouTube does help me learn more YouTube subscribers. So I guess it's fine and worth it. Is it really? When I feel like it's not worth it anymore, I'll stop. It's just that I have so many subscribers there, you know. I was hoping I could get to meet some of them, but I haven't. I haven't met any of my old subscribers, so I'm a bit sad. Yen said that they're really busy this week and next. Aw, that's okay. It's okay. I mean, what makes those streams the best is that it's the four of us, right? It would be so different if Yen weren't there. I'm gonna add another video to the queue. Let's go. So, yeah. I forgot what I was saying before I started talking to Helix. But basically, there's this Orion dude in Critical Role. He bad. He very bad. Yeah, let's get the gang back together, Helix. I'm gonna play this next video already, okay? Oh yeah, what was I saying? Oh, I've seen that animatic before, like a long time ago before already. And it was like, and I didn't find it funny. I found him to be really condescending in that particular animatic. Actually, I was wondering, why did people like make this in particular into an animatic? It doesn't seem very flattering, you know? So, let's do the next one. So I think this is a video from the game from back in the day. So let's play it.
As Vex is saying this, Tiberius is getting a half chub.
What?
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 You can't see it because it's inside.
What?
Anyway.
That's so fucked up, bro.
It's a strategy chub.
What?
Sponsored by the Dark Fantasy campaign.
For real?
Grim Hollow.
Oh, let me just make this thing stop.
Thanks, it's been crazy. Oh, Jacob's here.
What? So, can I just have like a couple of seconds to react? Country Humans animated one? Yeah. What was I saying? What the fuck? He just literally said that? Okay, like, as a dungeon master and the player and the purveyor of Dungeons and Dragons, I'd understand if he'd say that like he'd say that at an NPC, you know, because like, you know, there's the degrees of reality between you and them is like so different. But it's like Laura Bailey, his friend, and it's not just that, it's like, it's not just his friend, it's his friend whose husband is literally across the table from them. He's just right there, man. Her husband was right in the room. Not just in the room, like just over there. That's why it zoomed into that dude earlier, was because that was Laura Bailey, the person who played the person who had a half chub for the man. They were married, and like, what the heck? It's very rude. It's so rude. It's so bad. Ugh. It's so, like, okay, we all know I have like a huge fucking boner for like politeness. And that wasn't polite. That was so not polite. That was so disrespectful to everybody in the that was so disrespectful. It's just so bad. I mean, like, I thought that maybe like the clip would make more sense, you know, maybe she was being, you know, he was doing, you know, he was pretending to be cute. You know how sometimes you do that as a player, you flirt with your fellow party mates even though you're not in a relationship in real life, you know, like how, yeah. But no, that wasn't the case. Not even a single bit of that experience was titillating and of any sort. But still, he was like, I'm halfway there. It's almost full. The full bones. Full bone here. It's so bad. Oh god. It's... He took a lot of opium before the game. What the heck? Since that was just a clip, I don't know if if I should give you the link. But I don't know, guys. I'm really pissed. It's really tickling my. I don't like it when people are rude or, you know, bone. So let's watch this next video. This is a video given by Mr. Meowdy. It's from XP. Exit XP to level 3. I think they're a really popular YouTube channel, and I know this video probably won't harm me, right? Mr. Meowdy, you're not trying to hurt me, are ya? It's a funny video. Okay. Let's go. Let's play it. Oh, let's start from the very beginning. Let's start from the very beginning. A very good place to start. Is it not playing? It's not playing. I'll just reload the page. Yeah, it's a Jacob video. So let's just watch this to clear the air of pain. Okay? Is it not oh, it's not showing. Show on Swim.
Sponsored by the Dark Fantasy Campaign.
This, by the way, is this is a good setting. Grimhall's in a wonderful setting.
Cool. Thanks, it's been crazy. Oh, Jacob's here.
Critical roll.
Is he good?
Critical roll.
Oh no. I sent him an episode of Critical Role to give him some
Oh
inspiration.
no.
I think he may have taken it a little. Hello everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Curse of Strahd.
Oh no, look at his hair.
Last we left off, our band of intrepid adventurers had made their way into the town of Vallaki. They began to wander around the dreary streets.
I remember Vallaki. It's a nice place.
So, as you all
by nice, I mean you'd want to murder everyone there, but you know what I mean.
You stand in the middle of the town square. Alright, so let's maybe head to the inn and look for some work. Yeah, sure. Alright, who's all heading to the tavern? Us. The only two people here. You go over to the tavern. The door creaks as you make your way inside. There are a few people.
The funny thing about Matt Mercer is that he has canned phrases for certain things.
Bartender. I'm gonna go to the bartender. The bartender, as he's cleaning out a glass, he looks over at you. You want a drink?
You want a drink?
What did he say? You want a drink?
You want a drink?
I was also looking. Bartender turns around and grabs a corked bottle and looks at you.
Yeah, I got throwing them catchphrases.
I drink it. It tastes of.
Hey, he didn't drink it. He threw it behind him.
It's an interesting flavor. You can't quite pin it. It's spicy and the warmth of it fills your chest. I was wondering if you had any work. The bartender looks at you. So, you just throw around questions, don't ya?
So I just go back questions, don't ya? That's also a different accent than before.
Very interesting. Alright. So you don't have any work? No, I do. I'm just getting a read on ya. Okay, well, if you don't, then he pulls over a stool and sits down, leaning over the counter.
Glass
locking his
wipe.
gaze with you.
That's the fact.
You look into his eyes, and you see years of guilt wearing down on his face. Though there's a bit of a softness as well. There's a lot going on here, just with this bartender. And there seems to be so much that you don't know. You don't say. We've, had a bit of a werewolf problem. Great! We can
What?
take care of those werewolves. Can you? I'd like to see you try. Why does this guy have like 4 accents? So,
Yeah.
drinks. What do you do next? Well, I suppose we'll head outside to try to find them. As you head out into the town proper, you look out. It's not very pretty. It's more made for purpose. Okay, we know what it looks like. Hey man, you don't have to try to impress us or anything. The way you were DMing before was just fine. Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. I was just trying some new things. It's all good. Can we head outside of town? As you head outside of town,
As you head
see a
outside of
small,
town.
shrouded figure running up to you.
Pew pew pew
They have
pew.
deep green skin, a large nose.
Is it
and
the
sharp,
goblin?
finangly teeth.
Is it
They
Rat
look up
Goblin?
to you and
Joke, no,
say,
Rat Goblin's extra cute.
What? I don't know. This accent is
Gunpowder! Isn't that the specific
You
character?
don't need to go over.
That's a specific character from Critical Role, isn't
You
it?
need to copy him in order for us to have a fun time. You call that copying? We were already having fun with the original way that you were DMing, so just stick with that. Okay, you're right. Sorry, guys. All right, let's go fight some werewolves. Running out of the forest is a massive, gnarled, oh no, matted fur creature.
Oh, did it stop? Wait, sorry. I just, you guys have any more interesting videos you want me to do? I'm just gonna fix the settings a little bit. Yeah, Jacob was murdered by myself, yes. Oh, wait, I just need to... autoplay... The autoplay is off. I don't understand why it's autoplaying. It's so strange. I don't like it when it autoplays. Okay, let's go watch some. IRL version of the scene? Okay. I think our lovely audience would like to see the cartoons better because oh, fantasy high. Oh. You know, my thing is slowly not getting correct.
Sponsored by the Dark Fantasy.
Where were we? We were like here.
A small, shrouded figure running up to you. They have deep green skin, a large nose, and sharp, finangly teeth. They look up to you
Finangly.
and say,
Hey, not gonna lie. Sometimes I use that exact voice to voice characters in games. Do you remember the first time? I think there was like a little goblin lady, and then when I made their voice, I was like, Like that, something like that. But I was actually saying real words, but I was saying it really fast and really high, like something like that. Something like that. Did you guys hear that? Yeah, gremlin voice. That's what I did. I did a voice for a character like that, and nobody understood them. So, no, well, quite honestly, I was saying words like, "I was something like that." You know, I was actually saying real shit, real plot relevant shit, and no shit. They couldn't understand, so I had to repeat it again in normal English. Oh, you gotta go to that place over there, or something like that. Hey, stop it. You know, like, what's that one dude who makes them comics? The one that's bald? The one that's into magic? The bald guy that's into magic? That one dude, like, he... I think one time in one of his books, I forgot which one, I think it was in the one with the nobody people. Doom Patrol. There's a box that was... No, there was a talking head of like a saint or something. And if you listen to it, it will say a bunch of nonsense. And you'll just hear what you want. That's what Meowdy's doing. Okay, let's continue this video.
You don't need to go overboard here. That's a great DM, but you don't need to copy him in order for us to have a fun time. You call that copying? We were already having fun with the original way that you were DMing, so just stick with that. Okay, you're right. Sorry, guys. All right, let's go fight some werewolves. Running out of the forest is a massive, gnarled, oh no, matted fur creature, and it looks at you and...
Roar!
Toothy maw! Damn it, Jacob! Sponsored by the 5e Dark Fantasy.
Oh, I cannot, by the way, I cannot like understate how absolutely good, how wonderful Grim Hollow is. It's a very good book. You know, I'm thinking maybe I should make a YouTube video about how good it is, just so like so I could tell everybody that's legitimately not bad.
How do you want to do this?
How do you want to do this? So I could tell people it's legitimately not bad. So here's another animatic. Oh.
His little rat also would become invisible. Yes.
Okay. Could I
Please pause. There we go. So I will just same as before. So this is the person where we got the video. Give them a like, comment, subscribe to said video since we watched it, and unfortunately I can't share our view numbers with them. And that's very important in the tubes. So yeah, let's go. Please give them some honey, my peeps. Maybe you guys can all comment the same thing, like, wow, I don't know, maybe like my rate message. That's stupid. I think that's like spam, and spam's not good. It'd be cool if everybody could do it though, but I don't think that's appropriate. So this is the person. This is the video. Everybody, if you would like to, go ahead and do the thing. If you were impressed by their dungeons and dwagoning. Okay, so we're slowly drifting away from the stream title, which is talking about the Orion incident and Critical Role, because I only had that one 30-minute video about Orion. So yeah, no, that's it. We can go watch the... What's it again? We can go watch this one. This one is Fantasy High. I think it's a Geek and Sundry show. Or no, it's not. Is it Geek and Sundry or is it College Humor? I think it's College Humor. It's from the guys in College Humor. Yes, yes, it's from College Humor, and it's one of the few. I have a hard time watching like Dungeons and Dragons streams because I I have a strong feeling of like, oh man, I wish I was there. I wish I was playing. But honestly, the specific show, Fantasy High, was actually really good. Actually, also Critical Role, but then like to a lesser extent. It gives me a bit of FOMO, but then this Fantasy High didn't give me any FOMO at all because the people who play in the game are such distinct characters that it honestly doesn't matter. I don't feel like I'd contribute. So I don't feel any FOMO. So let's go. Let's watch this. Is it playing?
Real quick, just gonna do this. If nothing comes from it, that's fine. I'd like to create a minor illusion of a sexy.
Yes, yes. It feels refreshing.
What? I see what you're
I
doing.
need you right now, Emily Axford, to verbally describe a sexy rat. Put an image in my head of the Dungeon Master for what that is.
Okay, so
Mm.
it's like a real wet nose.
A what?
I try not to judge player character choices, but that sucks.
Incredible start. So hot. So fucking
Wet
hot.
nose. And it's like a really pointy. The whiskers are like long and like curled at the end, like Farrah Fawcett hair.
What?
And the ears are like so perfectly circular, and then the tail is like super long, and like the front paws are super skinny, but then the back legs are like meaty.
She did it. That's a hot rat.
That is honestly a hot rat.
So this fucking nightmare rat is created with illusory
Oh
magic.
my god, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?
Riz is a little attracted to the rat.
What the fuck is that?
It's got a big dumpy.
What is that?
It's kind of a
hot rat.
What the fuck is that?
In English, I say, guys, be cool.
Zane is an elf, you idiot. He will understand every word that we say.
What did you say?
What the fuck is that?
This sexy rat takes off into the graveyard, kind of like swaying its hips back and forth.
Oh.
Looking around.
What is wrong with that rat?
I'm just watching it the whole time.
You see it kind of like winks over it like a little gargoyle, and someone's like,
Why did
It's
you
like-
do this?
It's so stupid.
you see that it finds like a little like sort of acorn by a tree and takes it up and goes like,
I'm sorry. What is this? What did you
Okay,
do?
guys, get in, bring it in so no one can hear. Zane has his rat, and I'm trying to lure out his rat to find out if he's invisible here.
That's the most insane plan I've ever heard.
I think the rat is a good idea.
No,
you see that a fucking enormous owl comes down and grabs the sexy rat and takes off. The owl.
God, do not shoot that owl is a fucking world of service, alright?
I gotta
feel like that. Can I slap that shit out of Riz?
I'm sorry.
Stop!
The rat was cute.
Okie dokie. Oh, oof. Did I give you guys a video link? I'll give you guys a video link. This is one of the best, in my personal opinions. One of them, I watched them, not avidly, because I'm not an avid fan of anything. But this is one of the best animatic makers for like D&D shit, you know, if you're interested. So, go here and send them a like and stuff. Yeah. There. Guys. So where are we at now? You know, can I just keep stating that if you look at my fucking thing, if you look at my stream, It's been going smoothly, even though I have like a chunky wonky download happening and my internet is a bit of a pee pee poo poo, you know? But for some reason yesterday when my internet was a million times better, I was having issues with like internet connectivity issues with YouTube. Just saying. Just saying. Just saying. They need to fucking get good, you know? Like, they're literally need to get good. It ain't fine. It's a horrendous. They need to get good so bad. It hurts me. Hurts my soul. That's why we're doing some cleansing. I mean, the Tiberius situation made me angry. Honestly, if I wasn't on stream with a chat or with people, I don't think I would have any emotional appraisal at all. So I'm glad everybody was here for that. If I was alone, I wouldn't be feeling shit. Sometimes I think I'm only alive when people can see me. Sometimes because I like sure I could feel things. Sure things make me feel things, but I won't react, you know? Unless in purchasing dice. Oh, I think I have that in my thing. You know, do you think I'm real, guys? Or am I a figment of your imagination? You know, they don't do anything when you're not watching my streams, right? Joke. I'm so happy to be alive. I was dizzy for the entire morning, and now I'm not dizzy, and I'm just so happy to be back in reality, you know? I mean, the world that's all clear and shit. So, the next video is from ZD, and ZD is the YouTuber, and it's basically how to choose your dice, I think. Or is this a video on what kind of dice exist? I don't remember. This one.
Brought to you by paid advertising.
Everybody's lying about
Dice
dice.
101. In Lesson 1, we'll be talking about the Noble D20. In Dungeons & Dragons, anytime you're trying to determine the success of a save, action, attack, or check, you do so with a 20-sided die. So, picking the right one is important. Many people will tell you that D20s have a 5% probability of landing on each side, a median of 11, and that every roll has about the same probability. These people are either lying to themselves or, more likely, lying to their super prodigies. We'll get into that later. Dice have personalities, and it's important to scout those personalities out before committing to any die. In Lesson 1, we'll be covering the most important technique for any TTRPG player, scouting. If you see a person at the counter rolling all the dice they might buy, you know you're looking at a pro. To scout a die's personality, roll it twice, and it'll usually fall into one of the following categories. A blorp. These are dice that hit the table and stop rolling immediately. Blorps generally land 2 numbers to the right of where they stand in your palm. They're the dice of cheaters and thieves. So maybe pick one up. 2 high rolls on an ugly die reveals a diamond in the rough. Buy it immediately. These are the ideal dice for important saves even if they don't match the rest of your character set. Now 2 numbers above
I'm just
10
gonna
that
go
are too
get my
high,
aircon remote. Have fun with the
that's a fresh
video.
die. These make great character dice and good training candidates, but we'll talk about that in Lesson 2. If the scout roll results in 2 low numbers, don't worry, there's still hope. It's time for a prod. Roll them 10 more times, and if the numbers ramp up, these are shy dice. Buy them immediately. These dice ramp up and spike down over the course of a game, but they're very reliable. Just make sure to roll out all the bad rolls before each game. If your 10 test rolls in the prod came out low, you've got a low and slow. They're reliably low rollers. These are great dice for any DM. You can use them to build tension, though you secretly know the rolls will come out low. And even if you aren't a DM, they're a great gift for your DM, or really any comedic player. Now finally, if you're testing dice and they roll 2 20s, be wary. It might be a super prodigy, but it's probably a traitor. The only way to find out is to buy it. The first roll after you own the die will reveal its true character. If it's a 1 through 6, you've got a traitor die. And again, you'd think that these would be a good gift for a DM, but Actually, unlike the low and slow, the traitor die will remember you for all time. It rolls high against you and low for you, except on absolutely meaningless checks. It's no coincidence that most traitors come from eBay estate sales, because the only way to take care of a traitor is to lock it in a box somewhere in your attic. If your first roll after you own a double 20 is high, you'll want to buy a whole set in the same style, because you have a super prodigy. The cornerstone of any good character set, a super prodigy usually has the best performance in the game, but it has performance anxiety. It's of the utmost importance that when you speak near your super prodigy, you mention things like how every number has a 5% likelihood of being rolled, that people who believe in dice personalities are fucking idiots, and that each time the median roll for a d20 is about 11. This will ease the pressure and keep your prodigy rolling high. And with that, happy dice collecting. I'll see you in lesson 2, dice training. Thanks for watching this animated spellbook brought to you by paid advertisement for Tailspire. Tailspire is my favorite VTT. It's the only way that I play D&D online, and it doesn't handle systems, but it does handle maps, miniatures, map building, and movement better than any other VTT on the market, in my opinion. It's finally in early access on Steam, so you can buy it through a link in the description. Okay, bye now. See you soon.
Okay, it's gonna automatically play a video regarding zebras. I still can't find my hair on her mouth.
Robert Sapolsky was my professor when we were students at Stanford University many moons ago, and Robert made a huge influence on my wanting to be a scientist. He was simply the most influential and outstanding, compelling professor at Stanford because of the way he connected with his students and because of his incredible gift at lecturing, which you're all about to witness. And as you might imagine, Robert has quite a number of impressive accomplishments in his career, including the MacArthur Genius Fellow, loads of highly influential scientific articles and research awards. But perhaps one of his greatest accomplishments are the books that have been so incredibly popular and so impactful to so many people that he's written. My personal favorites are The Trouble with Testosterone, A Primate's Memoir, and Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, which is the topic of today's lecture. And so let's please all join me in welcoming Dr. Robert Sapolsky to the stage.
Well, let me start off by saying actually these lights only give me a dim impression that there's a lot of primates out there. So I'm not entirely sure what I'm seeing here, but let me start off by thanking Justin and Peter. It is a delight to be here and a delight to see one's ex-students flourishing and all that sort of stuff amid it making me feel very elderly. Okay, so let me start off. I just got here a couple of hours ago, so I pretty much don't know anyone here, so I feel empowered to ask all sorts of invasive personal questions of you guys. Okay, how many of you here have a family history of heart disease? Cancer, high blood pressure, ulcers, stroke. Wow, there's a hand there that's not even going down between the questions. Okay, that is not good. How many of you have a family history of somebody with a really bad case of leprosy? No hands. How about that cousin you're stuck sitting next to at Thanksgiving, the one going to the bathroom every 10 minutes because of the dysentery? Not that either. How about that extra special relative who is just teeming with liver parasites the size of your fists? Not much there either. And all things considered, this is not very surprising. Very few of us in this room seriously worry about smallpox or scarlet fever. Few of us get malaria during the rainy season. Few of our mothers died in childbirth. Nobody in this room is malnourished. We're not like normal animals. We don't get sick the way normal animals do. We don't die the way they do. Basic normal mammalian death, you drink some contaminated water and you're dead from dehydration 2 days later. And what do? We spend 80 years having our bodies go to hell on us.
Like, where could it be?
Oh, great, I gotta listen to that for the next hour.
I've been looking
This is
everywhere,
actually
and
fabulous news.
can't
because
possibly
this is
be outside of my room,
disease.
right?
For the most part, we are not plagued by infectious
It should be
diseases,
here.
diseases of poor nutrition, poor hygiene. Instead, we
On the
live
remote,
well enough and long
please.
enough to slowly fall apart over
It's
time.
so hot.
And this is a magnificent advance in the human experience. Okay, just to give you a sense of it, like a little more than a century ago, 1900, what do you think were the leading causes of death in the United States?
Literally melting.
Tuberculosis, good, what else? Childbirth. If you were a woman between ages 20 and 40, the single medically riskiest thing you could do in 1900 was attempt to give birth. What else was up there? Influenza, pneumonia, tuberculosis. Influenza, #1 on the list. The flu, nobody dies of the flu anymore. 1918, worst winter of World War I, people being blown out of trenches all over Europe. And if you were sent to the war that winter, your chances of surviving were better than if you got the flu. 8 million war deaths in World War I, 40 million dead civilians that winter from the flu. Nobody under age 100 dies of the flu anymore. Instead, we die of these totally bizarre diseases that never used to exist on this planet in any sort of frequency. Totally weird diseases like heart disease and cancer and diabetes and Alzheimer's, and what you suddenly realize is this is a very novel realm we've entered in terms of making sense of which of us are sick and which are healthy. Okay, 20,000 years ago, you're some 20-year-old hunter-gatherer, and you have screwed up big time. You've made a major medical mistake. You've just eaten some reed buck riddled with anthrax. And the medical outcome's absolutely clear. You've got like a 3-day life expectancy. These days, as a 20-year-old, you make a major medical mistake. You decide a healthy diet consists of a lot of red meat and saturated fats and maybe a drink every other day or so, and it's not at all clear what the outcome's going to be. You may be dead in your grave at 50, or you may be running marathons with your grandkids when you're 85. And in lots of ways, the central question for Westernized medicine is, so why do some of us last to 50 and some to 85? Some of it's got to do with like nuts and bolts biology, what your liver does with cholesterol or stuff like that. But some of it's got to do with questions nobody ever had to ask before in medicine. Totally bizarre questions like, what's your psychological makeup? Or what's your social status? Or how do people with your social status get treated in your society? Or how about this one? Get the answer to this question, and you will have done more good for the health of humanity than anyone since like Jonas Salk inventing the polio vaccine. Why is it that when we feel like nobody loves us, we eat Oreo cookies? Answer that one, and you have just solved half the cases of diabetes in this country. This is totally bizarre stuff. That has something to do with which of us are healthy or sick. That has everything to do with it. And what we've entered is this very strange world. When we look at the diseases that do us in, these diseases of slow accumulation of damage from lifestyle over time, these are predominantly diseases that can be caused by or be made worse by stress. And most of us in this room will have the profound westernized luxury of dropping dead someday of a stress-related disease. So nonetheless, amid that great news, it's a good thing if that happens later.
Okay, I give up.
Sooner, so it's worth learning
I
about.
can't
This.
find
Okay,
it at
start
all.
off with definition. I start
I
off
can't
with the
find it
word
at
guarantee.
all.
All
Not
of us
even
have
a little bit.
microbiology. With any luck, you've
So,
not thought about this word since then. Do you remember homeostasis?
That being said,
Homeostasis, having an ideal body temperature, having an ideal there. Influenza, pneumonia, tuberculosis.
that being said, I legitimately feel like I'm dying. It's so hot right now. I'm going to. I feel like I'm gonna have to end stream. It's almost 10 o'clock. We've been at this for like an hour and 30, right? I might have to end stream. It's too much for me. Yes, this is too much for me. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I can't find my aircon remote, and I'm literally melting. Yeah, I'm literally melting. I don't know if I can keep this up. So, yeah. Maybe I'll stream again next time. By the way, just to flex how amazing Twitch is, do you know? I was able to successfully, with my measly internet connection, I was able to successfully stream, use Chrome with a million fucking tabs, and download the fucking game. And download the game's update. My update has actually finished. Maybe when I find my aircon remote, I'll start stream again. Maybe, maybe not. But that's just the power of Twitch. I can't do that with YouTube. YouTube would fucking stick a tube up my butt or whatever. But, you know, Twitch is about to do some, like, careless business moves, and I don't know if this platform can stay up for as long as I'd wish it could. Oh, thanks for the bits.
Mr. Meowdy cheered. X100, thanks for streaming.
Oh, thanks. So I don't think that Twitch can stay up because of reasons, because they're making really bad moves and YouTube is getting good. Slowly but surely, they're getting better. Thanks for the drink. Delicious. Thanks for the drink, Fuji. I'm gonna go stretch. Slowly but surely, YouTube is getting better, but right now, they aren't worth the pain. It's just depression, the platform right now, and I highly suggest nobody stream there. It's not good for your mental health, man. It's not good. Actually, no. Maybe if you start off there, it's fine. I highly suggest nobody move there from Twitch, because it's bad for your mental health unless you're like a big chunky dunk. Ludwig or whatever. Ludwig and Sekuno or whatever. But yeah. So yeah, thanks everybody for streaming. Thanks, that's for streaming. I'm doing streaming. Thanks everybody for coming to my stream. I didn't know what to do today. I'm glad that it turned out okay. You know, that everybody enjoyed the videos. Yeah. Thanks for coming, and hopefully I could actually stream Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Eventually. Okay. For realsies though. Goodbye! Ah, fuck! We probably should raid somebody. I completely forgot. I was on YouTube last night and raiding wasn't a thing you do on YouTube. Who can you raid? I don't know who we can raid. We could raid one of Izanami's friends. That's one person we could raid. Who's Cleone? Cleone. Well, who's that? Twitch. Yeah, not a lot of buddies streaming right now. We could raid Anzu, who's I think they're just starting. Oh, and they're not even there yet. That's wonderful. Since they're not yet on the stream, that means I don't have to say hi. Okay, let's raid them. We're raiding Anzu, okay? Goodbye, people. Be good. Everybody go. They're not starting a stream yet. Let's go as fast as we can so that I don't have to do a thing. Raid.